some of the things that you were most proud of?
Do you know what? I think that when we look at the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, bringing the opportunity zones, and we had a great partnership here with area. John Persinger been able to take that forward. We are the template for America into how it is that you approach these opportunity zones. Every state had the opportunity. Not every state responded the same way. Every community had similar opportunities, but not every community responded the same way. This community, as I said earlier, this is the template for if you want to look at opportunity zones, if you want to rebuild your community, if you want to restore that American dream, then you better know how to do it. And in this community, we've done it the right way in conjunction with this administration, and it's working right now. We're seeing things happen. You know, this was the greatest employment numbers until the pandemic hit that the community had seen in over half a century. So there's something to be said for doing the policy the right way. It's a winning policy.
And then on top of that, I mean, we saw even last month announcement of a world company coming in here, and it's going to be headquartered in Erie. How do you think kind of the work you've been doing, working with people like James Grunke and all of them coming together?
Well, I think the community really responded very early on. They looked at what their assets were, and of course, we go back to, we talk about young people, just the educational opportunities available in this community and the talent that's being produced. Anybody looking to say, where can we go that we can find the talent that we need to really build a successful model? It's happening right here, and it's happening because we're renewing again the community and becoming a great center for people to locate and say, you know what, we're really affordable, we're really reachable. But look at what's happened in the airport with the investments out there to make us a place that's easy to get to. We're just doing things the right way, and it's paying off.
What's the most important piece of legislation you've sponsored that passed that maybe has made the biggest difference on the constituents?
No, by any means. It's the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, and we helped in every single way for everybody across the board. Everybody won with that issue. I wish we had had some people from the other party, at least maybe one person vote for the legislation. Would have been helpful. But when we see what the results have been from that being enacted, it's been an incredible, for not just for the Erie community, but for the country as a whole. So I'm really proud of that. I'm proud of being a big part of the opportunity zones because I thought that was one way to highlight parts of communities that have been totally ignored, and people saying, well, there's just no reason to invest there anymore because there's just no good return on it. Not true now. Now we're seeing that happen. We also had a couple other pieces of legislation, you know, the Neighborhood Improvement Act, things of that nature that really take a target and say, you know what, this is where we need to do great improvement work. This is where we need to come together on the public buildings, you know, where we're going to get money together with a Democrat from Oregon by the name of Earl Blumenauer. So we work very well together trying to get those things done. But the end to answer all that is, what are we doing to invest in our community that's going to have a positive return for the people who supply all the money? And that's hardworking American taxpayers. They deserve to know their money is being spent the right way.
You've been an avid supporter of President Trump. If he was running as a Democrat or any other party candidate, would you still support him? Does your support of him help or hurt your chances?
You know what? I think supporting him is easy. As far as he ran as a Republican, so I don't know if he wanted to run as a Democrat, he probably would have gone that way to begin with. But I think he thought, looking at the two parties, which was the one that actually benefited the American people the best. And I think his ideas of pro-growth. Now, keep in mind, this is a president that's only run for one political office his entire life. He ran for the presidency of the United States, stepped out of the private sector. He's a guy that knows how to run a business. This is the biggest business in the world, and this is a business where the people who support it deserve to have a positive return on their investment. He recognized that. He went in it the right way. I don't think he would have run as a Democrat because the Democrat Party that my parents and my grandparents and all the Irish Catholics belonged to was the party of the working men. I think now there's a distinct differences between the two parties, and I really think the Republicans right now probably are the best ones when it comes to policy that really support blue-collar workers.
Most surveys show Americans believe that the president hasn't done the best job in managing the pandemic and leading America through it.
Yeah.
What kind of report do you give him in this?
Well, do you know what? I think that's the polling on that, to me, is a little bit skewed. I would just tell you this. There's no other country in the world that responded as quickly as America did. And the programs that the president was able to roll out, both for the physical health of the people, but also for the economic health of the people. As far as I know, there's no other nation that supplied any type of support economically for people who were laid off or lost their jobs. Only this nation, and only under this president did we see that happen. So, you know what? Hindsight's always 20/20. And I love when people say, I would have done this or I would have done that. I say, that's funny, Because when this all started, you didn't have any plan. And as far as I see, coming from the Democrat candidate, I don't see any plan to do anything differently other than criticizing the president. And I always tell people, look, it's more important to love our country than it is to hate our president. And I think too often I ask people, say, not using the word Trump, tell me why it is that you would vote for somebody else, and they can't say it.
On the topic of healthcare, whatever changes are made in the future that you can ensure constituents, you'll only vote for changes that guarantee coverage for pre-existing conditions. And do you believe everyone is entitled to coverage for pre-existing conditions?
Yeah, the answer is yes, and we've been consistent on that for almost 10 years now. So I think it's one of those things, again, that people bring up. And I guess they're thinking that people aren't paying attention. Listen, this has been a president and this has been a party that's always been in favor of covering pre-existing conditions. So it kind of is one of those head scratchers and say, you know what, I guess if you say it long enough and loud enough, you think people are going to believe it? Not true. And coming from the private sector as I do and providing health care for the people that I work with every day, I think it's one of those issues you look at, listen, I want to make sure that the people who come to work with me know that they have a future, they're going to have health care, and they're going to have pension plans. And that's what I love about the private sector. I think they do it much better than the government does.
For older Americans dependent on Social Security and Medicare, are you prepared to guarantee with your voting in Congress that stability, security, and America's promise that it will be there?
Yeah, and I think that when people ask me that question, I said, look at my record and look at the fact that we're honored each year by the Medicare people as being one of the champions for Medicare. So the only people that could possibly say that we wouldn't be in favor of that are people that hope that nobody's reading and nobody's listening. Listen, that's going to be something that we're always going to support. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, those are all things we have to have in place. I don't want anybody to ever have to go to bed at night, lay their head in the pillow and say, I can't go to sleep tonight because I don't think I'm going to get that crucial help that I need tomorrow. We're going to be there for them, always have been, always will be.
Democrats suggest you have cast votes for legislation that's added to the national debt. Do you see that as a problem? When is adding to debt ever okay?
Yeah, well, what they're referring to, or the CARES Act, yeah, I did vote for that, and I knew it was going to add to our debt, but at the time, it was crucial to do that, and it's still crucial moving forward to do it. Now, what I never voted for is wasteful spending, but spending that's going to help the people that I represent, I'm always going to be in favor with that, and people are saying, yeah, but you know, that's not good because you're building on our national debt. And I'm saying what we're going through right now, I'll gladly vote for increasing our debt if we're serving our constituents the right way and serving the American people. How could you not? Now, some of this other wasteful spending, they're going to vote for something that's just wasting taxpayers' dollars. That's stupid. But what I will vote for all the time is something that supports the constituents that I work for.
Just talk about the future. What are positive changes to hope on, and what's something you're looking forward to in next term if reelected?
Yeah, do you know what? I think we look now that since we're going through this pandemic, we have to rebuild our economy, and we can do that. We're going to make it the greatest economy the world's ever seen again. We did it once, we're going to do it again. We want to restore the American dream, and we want to renew people's faith in government, and I think we can do that. And that's really going to be the key to going forward. What are the American people placing their trust and their faith in? And I would say if you look at this administration's record and what we've been able to pass, it would be hard to say this wasn't done in the best interest of the American people. Everything that we've passed has been in the best interest of the American people. And I go back to these issues and I say, please look at them. Don't listen to this outside confusion that you're hearing. You look and see, are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? Is the future looking better for you? The pandemic is another case altogether. That's not something we had anything to do with. China sent that to us. We're trying to fight it. But if you look at globally, where's the one destination that the world wants to come to and looks to all the time for leadership? It's America. And under this president, we no longer are leading from behind, we're leading from the front.